Views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of alltalkradio.net.
Looking back at life as it's been before, holding on to things that might have been, knowing that this day will never come again. As my spirit's gone.
Hi, this is Lainey Risto, and you're listening to and watching Soul Chat in Las Vegas, Nevada. And it's Thursday afternoon, about 3:05 Pacific Daylight Time. We don't know standard. Is it going standard? Really soon? It seems early this year for some reason. Anyway, the guy sitting over here bouncing is...
I'm calm.
Oh, yeah, you're calm. Yeah, this is a sponsor of our show. One of the sponsors of our show.
What she's trying to say, he buys his way on the show.
That's right, yeah. So this is...
Wayne Hildebrand, Spiritist Reiki Center, Holy Fire Reiki Master, and several other little modalities.
It gets a little longer every time.
And then we could go on.
Never mind.
Never mind. About titles. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
They're made up titles anyway.
Yeah. We're going to talk this week, if those of you that got notices. I don't know who got notices because I can't figure out since the big computer crash who I've got in what database. I haven't got them melded together or pieced back together yet. We're going to talk about who is or was your greatest teacher.
Oh, that's what we're talking about.
That's
today.
what we're talking about. I always like to leave Wayne in the dark. Yeah. And it's because Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer, passed away this past week, and there's been a lot of things on Facebook, a lot of things on the internet. He was really beloved. He really was. He had a lot of good things to say, and many people went to his seminars, and he wrote, gosh, it's like 30 books or something like that, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, at least.
Yeah. So I had a lot of people tell me, well, he was my greatest teacher, and I thought that's a good topic because there are a lot of things that teach us things in our lives. It's not just, and sometimes our best teacher can be the one that causes the most problems.
Well, that's usually is the best teacher.
No kidding. So with that, I'm going to launch into what I learned about myself this week. I had I hate to even say this because I know it's going to start something, but I had a birthday yesterday. Yeah, there he goes. And it was really interesting because about 4 days before that, I started noticing some things, and I noticed it was kind of bugging me.
Trouble walking, getting out of bed, the simple things. Go ahead.
I'm talking here.
Okay.
This is my space right here. Okay. But I noticed, and then one night, the night before my birthday, which was yesterday, September 2nd. See, I want to keep it out of my mind. I had this little thing that flashed on Facebook that said, well, it's your 64th birthday tomorrow. And I thought, how does it know? I didn't ask for that, you know? I mean, that's the kind of reaction I had. And then I went in and looked and realized how I had set things up and was so that everybody could see it. And I thought, well, part of me wants to take that year off of there. Doesn't want. I went, and the way I've been trained to look at what am I reacting to here? Because I remember my mother saying, when she was in her 80s, she looked at me and she said, you know, this is really interesting. She says, I'm still looking at everything with 16-year-old eyes. That's the way I'm looking through them, you know? And I have to admit, I don't feel like I'm looking through any lenses that are older than I was, you know, when I was younger. There's still things I think about the same way I did when I was younger. You know, it's changed.
We just think about them now.
No, we just think about them now. That's the deal. But I didn't realize I didn't have any problem with that. I didn't have any problem going over 40, and I didn't have any problem going over 50. Of course, 50, I was going through divorce, and I didn't know what year it was. Now I just don't know what day it is. I don't care what the year is anymore. But I noticed that there's something that's creeping up on me, and it's besides the age, and it's that I have this immediacy of I got to get stuff done. There's stuff I want to do before I can't do it anymore, you know. And I've been struggling with a knee problem that is getting better, but it slowed me down. And the first thought was, oh my gosh, maybe this is arthritis. What happens if I can't walk 2 miles anymore? What happens if I can't go where I want to go? What happens if... So I've been learning about, there's a place I'm really vulnerable about. And then it didn't help yesterday. There were certain people that kept reminding me what was going on. It's a little thing, but it's there. It's there, so I have to acknowledge it. You know, I have to get it out and take a look at it. And there's some things I just can't step in the arena anymore. I mean, the days of being on, you know, #1 star on in Nashville, those are probably gone just because I can't compete with those people. Doesn't mean I can stop singing. Yeah. It's just shifting. It's
Your
just
tennis career's out.
My tennis career is out, and it wasn't that great when I did it anyway, but I had a lot of fun. Although I have to say, I was in Palm Springs about 15 years ago when I was playing tennis, and when you go to Palm Springs, you can sign up. If you play tennis, you can go to public courts and say, I play at this level, and they'll hook you up with something. And so I went down there and I signed up, and they...
Eight-year-old walked out and said, you want to play?
No, this couple walked out, you know, and this one little old lady came out. She had the support hose from ankle to knee and hobbled out there. And of course, me and my arrogance thought, wow, this is going to be a piece of cake, you know. That little lady moved me around the court faster. She never moved hardly at all. She just put the ball wherever she wanted to, kicked my butt. So you just learn how to do things differently. That's all.
Like you once told me, Louise Hayes was 65 when
That's
she started
right.
Hay House Radio.
That's
so you have another
right.
year before you even hit your prime.
Well, you have no idea what I've got in the back of my head for 65.
Not much. There's not much in the back of her head.
So it's your turn, Bucko.
Yeah, this week's been a interesting week.
Yeah,
so
it has. I've watched part of it.
Lainey says something all the time. She always says, you know, I want to hear what I can't hear. I want to see what I can't see. This week I learned to listen and hear what I'm not hearing. Listen to people talk and hear what you're not hearing them say. It's been, okay, it's only a serious moment you're going to have of me today, but this was pretty...
I'm being very quiet. I don't want to ruin this moment.
Yeah, this was pretty big because I actually had to stop because we were in the process of getting a new building, a new spirit center and the whole thing, and I had to stop and listen to what people were saying because I'm automatically on the defense that they're trying to change something. I'm not ready for change, and all they're trying to do is give me a small suggestion on something that might enhance it a little bit better. So I had to really step back and look at that, and it was a huge week, especially the last couple of days. Really made that. So
I watched that yesterday too.
it was. At first I got bombarded. We walked into this new spirit center that we're setting up right now, and we just got the keys yesterday, and then there's 4 of us there, and I'm getting advice from the other 3. There's 5 of us there, and I'm getting advice, whatever it was, and I'm getting advice from all of them. You should
Not
be
for
doing
me.
this. Yes, she was.
No, I was not.
And then, you know, everybody's telling me, you got to do this, and over here would be, and I've already seen visions, and I have an idea, and it's just, I had to walk away. I had to put up a wall, walk away, settle down, come walking back out. I didn't get angry. I got confused because it was too many things coming. So I just was able to sit down and relax. I went into what's going to soon be the crystal room for the healing bed, and I walked it in circles, and I meditated and talked to spirit, and then walked back out, and I could listen to what everybody was saying. And then that's when I had to stop and listen to what they're saying because they all came from their heart, every one of them. And it was a rough thing to watch because you said, it's me, it's mine, and I want to do it my way.
You're going to warrior your way through it, right?
You just thought everybody was trying to push you, and all they're doing is saying, this could work if you put this over here. And it was like, you know what, it could work. And it might eventually work, and who knows, you know. So that was interesting.
You didn't get in your truck, and you didn't drive away.
I didn't, and it's always my first thing. I want to run. I want to just get away from people. Enough, okay? You guys decide what you think you want to do, and when I come back, I'm going to do it my way anyway. So this time I just stopped, caught it, and went back and listened, and it was very good. Some of the suggestions were outstanding.
They really were.
Yeah, it was really good. So it's exciting. Which brings us to the point of the new center, so we might as well get it out.
Since you're the sponsor and you're on the show and you get to say what you want about it.
Reiki Center will be moving October 1st over to Decatur and Flamingo. This is the first time we've announced it. We have a 3,000 square foot building over there, and it's right now it is a wreck. So you really have to walk in with a vision to see what it's going to look like. And I saw it the first time I went in and looked at it with the broker. I saw it, and then I invited Lainey to come over and our contractor Brad to come over and look at it. and see what they could see. And Lainey's not a visionary, so she doesn't really vision. It's got this
I was having a
bright
tough
green
time.
paint that she couldn't get past. So we just had to kind of walk her through it, and I could see the visions, and then I could see there's one room. It's 3 suites, and one suite is 48 feet long and 21 feet wide, and can seat about 80 people, maybe 100.
Yeah.
So a seat, yeah, I'm sure seat we could do 100. So big changes. A lot of things are happening. So we'll see. Spirit just keeps moving us forward. We've been a year and 2 months now, and we're already moving into a bigger building. And Spirit is just, well, it's all about Spirit. It's just where they direct me. I wait to hear from Spirit, then I wait to hear a confirmation from Spirit, and then I wait for the second confirmation, and then I move forward.
It's not a bad plan.
It's been working so far.
Yeah, except when you got to stop and listen.
You do have to stop.
Because the
and listen.
messages may be coming through other people.
You got to remember, Spirit sends you people.
That's right.
And everybody's in your life for a reason. And you may not agree with their thought on the process. And this brings us right into the, who's your master?
Who's your teacher?
Yeah, who's your teacher? Who's your masters? Who do you look to? Where do you go to? Everybody turns out to be our teachers.
I think so.
Everyday life. George over here is a teacher in some respects, because we have to watch what he does and how he does things, and learn how he copes with this radio station.
Yeah.
Here. So everybody's a teacher. But you can go ahead now and go to yours. Otherwise, I could probably own the show right now. I'm on a roll.
You're on a roll. Go ahead. I'm just sort of sitting here guiding.
It just amazes me how the people that were there yesterday, which was Lainey and a lady named Chrissy, and Chrissy is
the events
educated in
event planning, and it's something at the new center we've talked about.
And she just walked in and lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yep.
She is going 100 miles an hour, and Wayne's eyes are just crossed, going, what?
They were too. We should have had it on film, George.
And then I say to her, I see a little stage up here. She gets all excited, because Lainey didn't get excited about the stage, but this lady
I've been on it my whole life.
Went,
I mean,
And we're talking a 4-inch stage. We're not talking much. Just someplace a little up on
we're
the
not
front of this
talking
thing.
the Rockettes. We're not talking,
She pointed out where the dance floor could be, and where the tables could be set for weddings, or quinceañeras, or bar mitzvahs, or whatever. It was just beautiful.
Well, there were a few worlds that came in there other than Wayne's World.
It was?
Yeah. Yeah, Chrissy brought in event planning world.
Oh yeah, it was just so beautiful how Spirit does that, and how she had some designing ideas and some drapes and things, and I just don't think of drapes. Mine would be beads. They're really easy. Hook them up. They look good.
It's a guy thing.
It's a guy thing. Yeah. But she brought in ideas of drapes, and a room that we have extra. We weren't sure what we were going to do with. Suddenly, yesterday became a library waiting room type thing, and it just became beautiful. I seen the whole thing. I guess it was just.
Yeah, and I'm still walking around looking at the green walls, trying to.
Then we have our friend Robert with us, and Robert is kind of. He picks
translating for me.
Yeah, he picks up our energies of each person individually, and he's following behind me for a while, going, "Calm down, it's okay.
It's okay.
Just take it in, listen to what
That's
I'm
right.
like. I got it.
So that was like an advanced class in listening yesterday for you.
It was beyond my imagination. Advanced class. Yeah, it was very good. Very good. We just don't listen enough. We don't stop and listen. We hear them. I can hear you talking. Well, I don't. Blah blah blah. But normally I hear most people talking, and then.
He pays me. What can I say?
But yesterday it was stop and listen to what they're saying, because they're not trying to change your ideas. They're not trying to change what Spirit has showed you. They're trying to show you how you can enhance what you've already seen. And they're brought to you for a reason.
Well, and the other thing is that you created something that allowed them to step into their gift and who they are.
And got very excited about it.
Yeah.
Our contractor was excited. He was, walls to be knocked out and floors to be put in, and painting, and he wanted to do colors yesterday. I'm like, well, maybe we better settle on the colors for another time, because I'm not really ready to pick colors, because I have something in my head that I want to see, and then so I pick them, and then we'll go back and meet with him and go over them. But
it's like we were talking last night. It's really about the process of co-creating.
It's so rough. I've been used to so long.
If you're used to flying out by yourself, like I am, like you are,
Yep.
it's hard.
Yeah,
it's
rough.
hard because it's much cleaner. A little lonely, but it's much cleaner.
Right. It is. But you just have to stop and listen to the other person, because you're so used to just going ahead and doing what you see, the visions you see, and going forward. So, yeah.
Well, the visions you see, not the ones I see.
I say the vision. Okay.
No,
the vision
yeah.
I see. You see being me see.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what we learned this week. There's a lot going on. The thing is that we learn something every day. And the phrase that I don't even know where it starts. We pass these things around. You and I were talking about that. Sometimes you can't tell where it started. Because people, you hear somebody say something, you think that's really good, and then you end up telling somebody else. And being a teacher, it's easy to pick that stuff up and run with it. So people are in our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Many times you can't tell how long they're going to be there until they're gone.
Okay.
There's 3.
I'm holding on to it.
Okay. He's listening again, right?
I'm all ears.
Oh, yeah, you sure are. Okay, so, but a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and many times you can't tell how long they're going to be there. You hope they're going to be there longer.
Right.
But sometimes they're not, But as far as Wayne Dyer goes, I mean, I watched his life. You saw that post I put on Facebook. I met him years ago when he was still, and he talked about it in his life. He didn't hide it. He used his life to teach. He used his process to teach what was going on. And I met him right after he wrote Your Erroneous Zones, and he was drinking, and he'll tell you he was drinking. He talks about in The Shift.
Right.
Did you hear that when he talks about
beer,
he had that?
They weren't serving beer, so family got pulled up and pulled out.
Yep.
Restaurant.
Yep. And he got irritated, and it was about the beer. And in the middle of the night, he had a vision, he woke up smelling roses, wasn't it? I think so. It was that smell was with him. And in that moment, he saw what was going on. He saw how he was isolating from his family. He saw what was making more importance to him than anything else. It was that he didn't get what he wanted. It wouldn't have mattered if it was chocolate chip cookies or beer.
Chocolate chip
Yeah,
cookies.
I know,
Okay.
I know. But the people that are our greatest teachers, and many people have said this week that he was one of their greatest teachers. And he was criticized being a self-help guru. I knew him before he was, and I judged him. I judged him for years because when I met him, he was tossing back brews, and it was the 60s. There was a lot of other things going on, 60s and 70s and 80s. There was a lot going on. And I think it was when he first showed up with Hay House, and it would have been probably in the late 1990s, early 2000s, that I realized I'd been judging him because I thought, well, this guy's just, it's just the latest, greatest thing he's writing about. He's making a buck off of it. I was really down the road on that. And then one day, I couldn't even tell you what it was that he said. Somebody was talking to me about they'd just been to one of his talks, and I thought, I've grown up. Maybe he's grown up. What a concept.
Yeah, go figure.
What's going on with that? So I actually sat and listened to one of his talks on PBS or something. And I went, you know what? I better forgive myself and forgive him too, because this guy's got some good stuff that he's saying out there.
He's been through it. That's our learning, is going through what we went through.
Yeah. Our life is our greatest teacher.
Man, that's what we're out there. And the people always come to you that are dealing with what you dealt with.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what with him. He could touch people because he's been there.
Yeah.
He knows what they're going through.
What do you think was the greatest teacher in your life? I'm kind of reaching back. I've gone through about half a dozen just sitting here.
There's so many, because my teaching didn't really come spiritually till later in life.
But I mean, just teaching in general.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Mine was a life taught. I mean, I didn't have role models. I don't pick up on actors and that kind of, musicians and things that become role models to follow. I don't do that. I never have. I just kind of went through life doing, and I see somebody who's successful, and I will watch. When I worked for somebody in the 80s, I would watch him and see how he ran his business and what he did. How did he get to this point? And it was in '84 I bought his business from him and started doing it. So
it was more like a mentoring situation. You saw somebody doing something
without really going to them as a mentor, just watching life.
I think mentoring is one of the strongest ways to teach. Nobody ever told me anything and said, here, you need to do this. Right. And did I buy it when they were standing over me saying, this is how it needs to be done and you better do this? It was like, no, I don't think so. No, I don't. So, yeah. You have a lot, but you don't follow them. But that's all right.
I have my rules.
You have your rules,
I don't follow
right.
everybody else's rules. That you can't be successful if you don't do this. And you got to put the right color in the room, or it's not spiritual color, so you're not going to be able to do spirit. I'm thinking, really? The room could be black, and I guarantee you we can make something happen.
Yeah, well, that's a whole different deal.
But it's okay. It's still the same thing. People are rules.
I'll let you have it. I go back and I think about the first teacher that I can remember that really had a significant impact on me, and I think I've told a couple people about this, was my sister who had cerebral palsy. I went to this little church where it was pretty conservative, and it was the belief system that if you had an illness or if you were born with an illness, it's because you had sinned. You were coming in somehow, something. And I remembered this girl, I must have been about 10, walked up to me and said, well, the reason your sister is so sick is because she sinned. That's why she has cerebral palsy. And I immediately went, I think not. That isn't what I said in my head. But it upset me, because in those days, there were people that wouldn't let their kids come to our house because they were afraid their kids were going to get sick from it. They were going to catch whatever my sister had. It's amazing when people aren't educated what they do, the things that they do, the decisions that they make. But I remember I was crying, and I was riding home with Anna Anderson, little Swedish lady. She couldn't have been more than 5 feet tall, and she was probably 104. I don't know. She looked 104 to me. She's probably in her 60s at the time. But she drove one of those big black like Oldsmobile cars, that really were made out of metal in those days. They had the big round bumpers and whatever, red velvet interior, and her feet could barely touch the pedals. And I was crying, and she said, "What's wrong?" And I told her what had happened, and she looked at me and she said, "Well, you need to understand that your sister is one of the brightest stars in the sky that just managed to come down and be with us and turn the whole thing around to the perspective, the fact that somebody else had a different perspective I could look at that made sense to me." See, I'm the feeler. It's got to make sense, or it doesn't make sense, I can't do it. So I remember that as being a significant, really significant. Then there were the teachers that were really difficult to deal with, that I didn't understand what great teachers they were until I got down the road and I could look back. That what they were really teaching me. It was rough. I had a piano teacher. I never wanted to take piano, but my mother wanted me to take piano. So, and I hated practicing. That was just like, don't like that. But she was a stickler. And she would get upset with me, and she was much like the woman I just dealt with that I was whining about there for a few months, where she kept expecting me to do something and I wasn't doing it. It was like you could have put the two people in the same place, except one was really tall and one was really short. But what I realized after coming out of this recent experience is that what I really learned from them was not to settle. Don't settle because you think you have to. Right. If there's something that you want and you see it, like you have visions, or I know what it's going to feel like, don't give up until it feels the way you want it to feel, or you see it the way you want it to see it. You know?
Follow it. Don't let everybody else tell you how it's supposed to be. Follow
You can change your mind. You can negotiate with yourself. Yeah. But, and then there's all the marriages. You want to talk about that?
I'll stay out of that one, thank you.
No, I mean, my ex-husbands were some of the greatest teachers I had.
My first ex-wife, Janice, is still a teacher to me.
Yeah.
She still talks to me and calls me up, and she'll tell me I'm teaching her, but she's teaching me.
Well, the truth is we learn from everybody.
Yep, so it is. Now, the second ex-wife we don't even talk about. So
okay, we won't talk about that. But everything in our life teaches us, somebody that comes in our life that we really want to have there, and we expect them to be there for the rest of our life. And then they leave. And then you get to understand things about yourself that you didn't know existed, and you may not have been able to figure it out.
It takes a while to get through
it takes a while, and it takes a lot of patience and a lot of compassion for yourself to do that.
And
so
a couple soul retrievals help, and I've been through this one.
Yeah. It's
really interesting.
But it's different. That's one of the things when I was studying with the Zukov program, Gary Zukov, was he always talked about that we're here, well, for one thing, we're a spirit wearing a body. We're not a body with a spirit, we're spirit wearing a body. But we're also an earth school. It's one of the biggest schools we can be in.
Oh, boy.
I know, I'm sorry, you thought you'd left.
I keep flunking it.
Yeah, it is earth school. Everything that happens every day, and the deeper I get into the shamanic path, the more I walk it, the more I start working with people. It's amazing. Every day something happens. Never fails. Today for me it's Facebook. I'm so frustrated, and I go, whoa.
We knew that was coming.
I know, but I could sit and whine about it, or I can step back and say, Okay, this is happening for a reason. There's something here that's trying to be shown to me, that have patience with myself. Maybe it's going to guide me in a different direction. Maybe the answer that I'm struggling with will be 2 days from now, and it'll make perfect sense why it got scrambled.
Yeah.
But trying to put that distance in it
Right.
is tough. It's really tough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Having our greatest teachers is rough, because we look back to some, my Reiki master. Learned a lot from her.
Right.
But then I learned things that I don't want to do, that were taught to me to do a certain way, and it's something different, So we learn from them, and then we step back and look and say, oh, this is what I learned.
Yeah.
It's going to go this, I got it, But yeah, greatest teacher. I mean, for me, my Reiki master, she taught me so much, but she also embedded a lot of rules. And then you have to learn from those rules and decide what rule's good for you.
Well, and since I've known you, you've been busy taking some of them down
A lot
and
of
putting
them down.
and putting something else in its place that works better.
Right. Yeah, I have a lot of rules, but there are a lot of rules about me, and how I think I should be living, or how I think I should be doing what I do, and you have to bring down some of those.
I think should be taken out of the dictionary. I just have an issue because should sounds like such a judgment. I don't care if I tell myself I should do this faster, or I should be getting this quicker, or I shouldn't have clicked the wrong box, or it's such a judgment, and it takes us
We
out
have
of the
to
moment.
change George's middle name. George
Yeah.
should have.
That's what I hear a lot of.
What about you, George? I know you've been going through some stuff, but what do you think has been your greatest teacher so far? Or who?
I really don't. I don't know how to answer that one. I think
It's rough.
I think one of my greatest teachers is life itself. Bottom line. I mean, there's just been so many different changes with so many different things, so I can't really pin it down to one set thing.
But you're blessed with a strong mother.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
she's
do
a
have-
strong mother that really teaches you. What a little bit I know of her, she's
Yeah.
taught a lot.
Even
and
though
I
I'm going to
see-
choke her once in a while, yeah, it does. Yeah, she
I want to
does.
do that to Lainey, so it works
Yeah.
out perfect. So I understand. But
I'm
we're
not your mother.
We're talking about. You're not?
No.
You've
No.
been lied to.
No.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is some of our teachers are our parents,
Mhm.
and we have to separate some of the stuff they taught us.
Yeah.
'Cause they're not.
Yeah, because they learned. I think about the Depression era. There's a lot of people are passing on now from that era because they're getting up there. The baby boomers are stepping up, and we're all getting into that place where we're, maybe not George, but I am. I know he's on the edge. But that was a whole era where you learned to go without. You learned how to survive.
I was actually in a baby booming era.
Yeah, you were.
1968, I was at the very end of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're at the end of it. I was kind of like in the middle of it. He's kind of.
He was at the beginning, right?
No.
No?
Yeah.
67.
Jeez. But that whole let's talk about generational teaching. There is a thing that when you look at the generations, there are certain things about them that they have, and if you want to see what indicates them is a lot of times the music. I mean, look at when the Beatles came out in the 60s.
True.
My parents' generation, which was into swing and country and whatever, they heard the Beatles and they thought the whole world was going to fall
Right.
apart. Elvis
was the devil.
Elvis was the devil
He was the
probably
devil.
to them, but that's just to show you that there's that music kind of ties that all together. But that generation, they lived through 2 great wars,
Right.
and they lived through a world depression, and they learned how to do that. And there's people, I'm sure you've talked to people, there's some people to this day that aren't happy unless they got 7 rolls of toilet paper in the closet, or they're always buying it on sale, because they had to learn how to go without it.
I carry it with me.
I don't want to know that. Yeah, George's over here. He's going, yeah, I do too. Yeah, okay.
I got paper towels. I like it rough.
No holds barred radio. I always know there's a point in the show that it's going to go in the ditch,
We flushed right through that
Yeah,
one.
we did. Yeah, we did. But you know what I'm talking about.
I
We got to
do.
get this back on track. The generations themselves, just what they had, life, the kind of thing that had to be done, to go without and
Right.
try to figure out how the next day's going to get. There's still people in this country that are doing that. There's a lot of people. that are doing that, trying to figure out how to put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, you talk about teachers. For me, you came along as a teacher. The way you do things are totally different than the way I do things, and you became
Thank God.
you became part of the teaching experience for me, and a little bit vice versa, because you learned some different things that I do that are different than what you do, and but everybody that comes in to the center, you know, we have an average of 30 to 40 people, and when you're there, we have an average of 50 people. But we learn from all these people. Because
Yeah.
they're all in different spots, but they're all teaching us something.
And I think the best teachers are the ones, and I'm talking from my own personal experience, the best teachers are the ones that, one, teach from their life. You get that they understand what you're doing. They get on some level that they have an understanding somehow of what you might be going through because they've lived through it too.
Right. That's the best.
Somebody standing there and standing over you who's never had to deal with any kind of an addiction and telling you that you need to stop is not going to get a whole lot of respect.
Right. It's pretty easy. Just quit doing it.
Just quit doing it. Or just, that's the one we talked about it at the last, didn't I talk about it at the last Moon Circle? I think so. About just let go. Somebody said, well, just let go of it. Easier said than done.
A lot easier.
When you're all caught up in the pain of losing somebody, or you're caught up in the pain of you feel like somebody done you wrong, and that all that emotion is locked up, you just let it go. Yeah, right. How's that going to happen? How's that going to happen? It's rough, and it takes a while to get out of it. But if you've got somebody that can stand in front of you and say, look, here's what happened with me when I went through it. Take what you want. You know, here's how I got out of it. Here's what I experienced. If that helps you, take part of it and run with it and see what happens. Right. That's the best kind of teaching. But the other thing is that I've gotten in situations, I'm an entertainer, so I'm pretty good at shining it on, but there are things that some people say to me in a circle that I have to stand back and go, wow, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. Spirit's quietly sitting there going, we're going to see what she does this time, you know. But I truly do learn. That saying of the teacher learns as much from the students is really, it's really true. You know, there isn't anybody that I can think of, especially private clients that I've worked with. I learn every time, and I think that's the deal. You can read all the books that you want, but somebody's going to come to you and tell you how to deal with something because they read a book. Yeah, that's not
how somebody else dealt with it.
Yeah, that's not it. So, you know, I'm thinking about, did I have any teachers in college? You know, because I went through a fair amount of college. Not so much. Life was the big teacher for me as well.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. And I think what comes with that is the greatest, if you look at the greatest teacher you had, there was something about them that allowed you to open up so you'd be willing to learn.
Yeah. There were so many of them. That's the thing about it. We went through a lot of people. We've been a lot. We've gone through a lot. So we've learned from many different people, being in the being in the secular world.
Yeah.
The greedy people, the giving people. You go through them all.
When my daughter, I have a daughter that struggled with some eating issues for a while there, and when she came home from college, I was really worried. I thought, I don't know what I can do here, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to her and say, I was much more overweight than I am now, and I looked at it and went, wow, how can I talk to her? What am I going to say? How am I going to deal with this? And ultimately what happened is I was volunteering at the YWCA at that time, and went down there and said, I got a situation where I got to look at eating disorders. I don't know what's going on here, and the only thing I can do is look at my own, because I can't do anything with what's going on there. And consequently, I was introduced to my friend Chris, that you know.
There you go.
And literally, when her name came up, when the director of the Y and her name came up, said, well, you need to speak to Chris. And it's like I heard this bell. I absolutely heard it. It's like, might as well have been Big Ben. I mean, it was that loud, you know. And it's turned into a 20-plus year friendship. But that started me on the road, and then dealing with the family member that had the problem. Wow, that was a huge learning experience. That started turning a whole lot of things around for me.
Nice.
So, and then there's my son, and he's going to watch this, and I'm going to say it anyway. You know, we were getting in the car one time, and everything had gone wrong. Couldn't find the keys. Things were just, you know, when you're trying to get out the door and you can't get there, and nothing's happening right, and whatever. And I got him in the car, and he must have been about 7 or 8 years old. And I got him in the car, and I had my hand, I climbed in, I had my hand on the door frame, and I somehow pulled the door shut, and it came down on my hand. Well, everything that had gone wrong in the last half hour just came rolling out, right? And I'm yelling and whatever and yelling at him, and he just quietly sat there and looked at me. I can still see him. Quietly sat there and looked at me and said, like I slammed the door on your hand. It was like, oh yeah.
I own this one.
Yeah. So our children, and then there's that thing with parents. When you're mad at your folks because they didn't do this and they didn't do that, and then then one day you wake up and you realize you're doing the same thing to your kids, and you go, I was never going to be like them. I was never going to be like them.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, no. I want to go through some of these things. I took this off the internet, off Facebook, because Wayne Dyer was known for saying, in a very few words, he would say something, messages. And he was, like it says here, one of the most powerful things about his messages is he was a non-denominational version of spirituality. And I think that's important, especially now. People are looking for meaning in their life, and they can't find it. Right. And somebody telling you dogma, somebody telling you a definition of what they heard somebody said isn't going to work. So I liked this one where it says, a mind at peace, a mind centered and not focused on harming others is stronger than any physical force in the universe.
That was amazing.
I know. Stop acting as if life is a rehearsal. Live this day as if it were your last. The past is over and gone. The future is not guaranteed. Now, there's pieces of things that other people have said.
Sure. And he doesn't take credit for it all.
No, he never.
He would tell you, I pulled this
did.
from this person, and I saw them the other day, and they said this, and it was a great quote.
Right. Look at this one. It is impossible for you to be angry and laugh at the same time. Anger and laughter are mutually exclusive, and you have the power to choose either.
That's why I usually just laugh at you and walk away.
Oh, jeez. Okay. I cannot always control what goes on outside, but I can always control what goes on inside. When I would hear him say these things, I knew he was talking from personal experience. People know when you're being authentic.
It's when you know they're talking from the heart.
That's right. When you judge another, you do not define them, you define yourself. That's the tough one.
That's huge. I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah.
If I'm judging George, I'm looking at me inside of him, and what am I judging about me?
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
It's easier. It's easier to blame somebody else.
Well, George is always easy to blame. That's what I really like about George.
Oh, here he comes.
Yeah, I got this sign that if you look on my back, it says, please blame me, arrow pointing up.
Yeah.
Kick here.
Doing what you love is the cornerstone of having abundance in your life. That's a good one for you. You show that a lot.
Thanks.
I watch you create that. I mean, what did you do? 3 days ago you said, we need a refrigerator, and the next day he calls and says, we got a refrigerator. Yeah.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good. Or you called up this morning and said, guess what was across the street?
Yeah.
I thought it was McDonald's.
Crazy.
I was off by But
getting this new center, I wanted to live somewhere close, and I just want to get a little apartment and right across the street, which I haven't seen. I've been there for 2 weeks.
I didn't see it. I saw McDonald's.
There's a 55 and over apartment building, and
he said 55 and over.
They have a one bedroom ready to go that they're reserving for me. They said it's our last one. Everything else is on waiting list. I said, okay, I'll be back. We'll talk.
I'll be back. Okay. All right. What is this? Love is the ability and willingness to allow those that you care for to be what they choose for themselves without any insistence that they satisfy you. That is tough. I think that's tough for parents. Some parents want their kids. They live their life through the kids.
Yeah, I did that when they were younger. Bought the son the 4-wheel drive truck because I always wanted one. We had quads. We had everything. I blamed it on the kids, but go ahead.
Oh, see, this is a good one. The highest form of ignorance is when you reject something you don't know anything about. You've never done that, have you, Wayne?
Did you say ignorance and Wayne in the same voice? I resembled that remarks.
But I mean, how many times somebody comes up to us and says, well, you want to try this? No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. And we've never done it.
Yeah.
How do you know you don't? Now, I was listening to, who was it? Somebody was talking about bungee jumping, and I'm sitting there looking at him, thinking there'd be a whole lot of alcohol. Robert was doing that, wasn't he? Yeah. The fact that you're willing to say, I do not understand and it is fine, is the greatest understanding you could exhibit. You say that all the time. It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Let it go. It'll work itself out.
Right.
It'll come around. Spirit will bring it to what it needs to be, and just let it go. Stop trying to
This
define
one
it.
right there, that's the one that I was telling you about.
Yeah, that's very good. I thought about this for a couple days since you brought that up. When
Yeah.
you
Did you
posted
read?
it.
Did you actually read it?
I
Wow.
did.
I sent him something and he read it. Whoa.
I read them all. I just don't tell her.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one about squeezing an orange. When you squeeze an orange, orange juice comes out because that's what's inside. When you're squeezed, what comes out is what is inside. So
Yeah,
life
so
squeezes us.
Car cuts you off and starts pulling the driveway, and then back out of a driveway. You get angry. Is that what happens when they squeeze you?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
The rest is guiding. I think. It's
Well, I was kind of giving myself a little leeway. Yeah, just a bit.
We lose them at 5 or 6, but
What's that one say? This is huge. You cannot be lonely if you like the person you're alone with. That's huge. That's what happened with me the last 5 years. I learned to like myself. I learned to be my best friend. I learned that I was okay. I kind of took it farther than I needed to, because then I got to a place where it was safer to do that.
It's part of the self-destruction that was in my life. You know, I thought I wasn't worthy of having and being successful, or having a successful sinner, or, you know, I wasn't, for Spirit to give it to me, I didn't deserve it. It wasn't for me. You know, why did you give me this? Why was it? And then they showed me that, you know.
It really wasn't for you anyway.
Yeah.
It's for everybody else.
It's not yours, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was telling Lainey earlier, I went to sign papers yesterday on this new building, and I'm nervous. I have my solar plexus locked. So I call Robert, and I asked Robert, I said, what's going on? He goes, Wayne, you're the co-signer. They just can't sign their signature on it. You're the co-signer. This is Spirit's building. If they don't want you to co-sign for them, they won't let you. I'm thinking, wow. My solar plex opened up. The muscle, everything was relaxed. I went right in, had a great time, signed the papers, got everything we asked for, and walked away.
And that's the famous Oprah quote that I got to write it down and have it sticking on my mirror in the bathroom so I can see it every time I go in there. Is that when she says, when I got out of the way, God had a much bigger dream for me than I could even think of.
And that's what you keep reminding me of, is there's a bigger dream, Wayne. You're not seeing the big dream. Let Spirit have their dream. Let them do what they're going to do for you. There's a much bigger thing out there.
Right.
And that's the hardest thing to do.
It is.
Because we think we're in control.
It's very hard. It's very hard. So that just kind of flew. We got going late. But next week we're going to be back. And I have a friend that's coming on the show. She's coming out of Colorado. And she's going to, have you heard of the Access Bars?
I'm just trying to get over the fact that you have a friend. What am I, an enemy? How about I have another friend coming on? I'm taking this personal now. Where's that sheet? Yes, I have heard of the Access Bar.
Yeah, she's coming on. She's actually a shamanic friend that she went through some training with me. And she's coming through. She's on her way through to California and back. Actually, she's coming through this weekend, and she'll be coming back through, and her name is Julie Perkins. And she's going to come on next week. We're going to talk about this. This is one of those things that's kind of like tapping, where you can release things without actually reliving them.
Right.
And I don't know too much about it, so but I trust her. I've got a relationship with her of sorts, so I kind of know where she's coming from. So we'll be back next week with
that'll
that.
be fun.
Yeah, it'll be good.
That'll be a better show than this one, because she's a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Now you got me thinking about something else. All right, so here we go. Anyway, so tonight, you have a Reiki share tonight.
Tonight, Reiki Circle, 6:30 over at Spiritus Reiki Center. We go 6:30 to 7:30. We just introduce and talk and just laugh. And then we take a little break, and then we come back, and you get some free Reiki.
Yeah.
It's at Spiritus Reiki Center at 3300 East Sunrise Avenue, 89101.
Yeah. I'm Lainey Risto, and do you have a phone number? I know, because I talked to you on the phone.
702-810-3354, soon to be changed when we get the new phone in the center.
Mm-hmm. And I'm Lainey Risto. You can reach me at 702-308-8464. I've got a new website coming out. That's part of what I'm wrestling with on Facebook, trying to get things to link up. And I don't think the 13th I'll be at the Meadows for Soul Sunday at the Meadows one more time. And let's see, we might have What am I doing? I'm at Spiritus
You're there a couple times.
a couple of
You
times,
got a
and then
workshop at the end of the month.
I have to warn everybody that Wayne will be on here. George is going to have to keep him in line because I'll be gone for a couple of weeks in October. I don't know about leaving the two of you with the show. I just don't know about that, you know. This week, if you're going through your life and you run into something and it's just frustrating, or somebody's talking to you and you've got a relationship that you just can't make heads or tails out of it, step back. Take a deep breath. Look at them and say, what if this is my teacher? What if this is bringing something to me in a priceless way that I never got before? And give it a chance. See what happens. Other than that, have a great week. We'll see you next week. One more time, Thursday, 3:05. Thanks, George.
Thanks, George. Bye, yo.
Bye.
Time